is your idea a good idea? Should you do this idea? And if you build a good team, um, that's what you can create. You can make lots of money. You can build, a very successful multi-million dollar businesses, and then
Hmm.
you can live a life that is highly desirable. And whatever that life is to you is okay. There's not a way to do it. It's how do you design something so that it benefits you. People waste a lot of money and a lot of time and get very frustrated and get bad feelings about certain vendors, really because they didn't do the work to figure out, what exactly am I working toward? What am I aspiring to? What am I dreaming of that I want to accomplish specifically for me? Why am I sacrificing my time and my money and the opportunity cost of everything else I could be doing to do this thing? And how do I know when I get to the finish line? How do I know when I'm successful? Make sure that whatever you're delivering to the world is something that they actually want to buy. You can do your passion out of your abundance, out of your wealth. Your friends tell you, "Oh, that's such a good idea. You make the best cupcakes. You should open a cupcake business." Well, you're good at cupcakes, but you're not good at marketing. You're not good at paying
And
your bills.
business.
You're not good at
Yeah.
balancing your checkbook. You're not good at cleaning up after yourself, right? You're just good at making cupcakes. That is no good reason to be in business.
Today, I have a very interesting guest, someone who I met at an event in Vegas. He was actually a speaker there, and I got a chance to have a quick chat after his speech. I even got his signed book, which means a lot to me. His name is Aaron, and he's chairman and CEO of Laughlin Associates, a 51-year-old company that has helped over 300,000 entrepreneurs start, grow, and profit from their business. For over 35 years, his experience founding, acquiring, and directing multi-million dollar businesses, as well as working as an officer for a publicly traded multinational, sets him apart from the crowd as a voice of real world knowledge and authority. Welcome to the show.
It's good to be here. Thanks for having me on. And yeah, it was fun being down there in Las Vegas.
Yeah,
Was it Las Vegas? Was it Las Vegas
it was. Yeah.
or Orlando? Those
It
two
was.
are right next to each other. I went Orlando, Las Vegas, New York, and we gave out books.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you have yours, and I'm honored that you would want me to sign it. So that's nice. That's nice for me too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that night I asked him through the book quickly, looked at all those. So the book that we're talking about is the Critical 20 Critical Steps to Business Success. So what Aaron has done is basically put the most important, based on the way I see the most important steps that you need to do in your business in order to have a successful and profitable business. And a couple of days, so when I came back home, I read the book, and I realized that all the other books, all the other business books, personal development books that I've read previously, they all cover these things, but they take one topic and then they create this. They add too much information, and usually you go through the book to get that one golden nugget. And throughout this book, you basically get all these 20 golden nuggets.
Thank you very much. That's a very nice compliment, and it's exactly what I was trying to do. I've been working on a much more comprehensive book, which will come out probably end of second, first of third quarter 2023. And it's called Unshackled. And it's this formula that I've used for all these dozens of companies that we've bought and fixed up, and many of them resold, that I've trained hundreds and hundreds of other company leaders, all the way from very large companies, worked with CoverGirl Max Factor, WebMD, all the way down to, a small company of maybe 3 or 4 people, hospital groups to hedge funds, to horse trainers, to home heating and air conditioning companies. All kinds of people, hundreds of people have been through that Unshackled training that I do. And so I knew I needed to write a book about that. And one of my students really pushed me and helped organize the book. And he actually is going to get co-author status. His name is Robert Andreas from Romania. I met him in London, but he's Romanian. But while I was working on the Unshackled book, there were all these things that were just swimming around in my mind that I thought people just need this one thing. They don't need all kinds of stuff all the time. They need something they can look at that just reminds them of the basics. And that book really does go from, is your idea a good idea? Should you do this idea, to how do you get a team, and how do you keep innovating inside the company, all the way to the end of basically how do you know when to replace yourself? When's it time to sell or let somebody else take the reins?
Oh yes, yeah. I mean, there are so many books out there, and there's so much information. And most of the times, when you look at it, you don't even know if you have the right information in front of you. You can go through it, you can go through the course, but it's hard to say if the person who is teaching the course, if they have done it.
Oh, isn't that the truth? There are a lot of people who teach it and teach anything. It could be Facebook ads, or it could be hiring, it could be nothing down real estate, it could be marriage. Here's the great example of what you just described. It's the relationship coach who's been divorced 5 times,
That's
right?
that's what I've heard. Yeah.
And so you kind of wonder, is this really the voice of authority I want to be listening to? And I'm not trying to say I'm right. I'm trying to say, here's what I've learned. Here's what I've learned from doing this now for almost 40 years. I'm in my 39th year of owning companies.
Wow.
And you learn a lot along the way. You get beaten up, and you also learn what works, and you say, I better do more of what works and less of what gives me bruises. And so that's really what that little book that you're talking about was designed to do. It's a quick reference. I call it a potato chip book. Well, will you just show people the book, how small it is?
Absolutely. That's
It's a little small book, and narrow, real thin and big print.
Yeah.
It's what I call potato. Go ahead.
It reminds me of those pocketbooks.
Yeah, it's kind of the thing
size.
you take on a train.
Yeah.
Take on a train for one trip, and you're going to read it on that trip. And I call it a potato chip book because the chapters are so short. You read the lesson, you read the action, the solution,
Yep.
and then it's like 2 pages, and you go, I could do one more. Oh, I could do one more. It's like potato chip. You can never just eat one potato chip. So people tend to knock that book out in one sitting because it's short.
Yeah.
And hopefully it gives them something to work on. It gives them something to go do. So that's great.
Well, I liked what Brian Tracy said. The distilled wisdom.
Brian's been a friend for a long time. What's he say?
So he gave basically a testimonial to the book where he says the distilled wisdom and practical ideas in the book will save you hundreds of hours and thousands of dollars in achieving business success. So when I read that, I'm like, thousands of dollars. Yes, that's
At least,
yeah, and hundreds of hours easily.
Yes, easily. Oh, easily. It's also, if you follow the tenets of that book, and then the bigger book, when it comes out, I hope people will go buy it as well, because it's really this is how to build a business and grow the business. The next book is about how to be the chairman of the board of the business rather than the president. In other words, how do you guide and direct, how do you build the company and organize it in such a way that you can guide it without being the most critical in the trenches employee. And you told me that a lot of the folks that listen to this podcast are aspiring, right? Or maybe they're nomads, maybe they're digital entrepreneurs, and they're kind of going to Bali and Burning Man, and they're kind of going to all these places and working for their computer and doing marketing stuff, or doing real estate, or doing crypto, or whatever they do. What I've learned is, if you want to have long-term wealth, long-term success, you must have a team. Because if you don't have a team, you have to do all the work. Now, you may make a whole bunch of money, but you're still the one burdened with doing all the work. And what I've learned to do is build high performance teams that get a lot of work done. And I'm just saying, okay, we're going to go like this year. We're going to partner up with this company. We're going to do this. And what it means is, um, well, I'll tell you this: we have an office with a bunch of people in it down in Nevada, which I visited one time in the last 5 years. Right? I don't need to go to the office, even though I have all these employees down there.
Hmm.
And the reason is because they all are doing the day-to-day work. I get reported to once a week, and then we have, random calls with the management team during the week. But like I just told them for my personal schedule, hey, I'm going to be in San Diego doing a talk, then I'm going to be in Dallas doing a talk, then I'm going to be in Florida doing a talk, then I'm going to be in Puerto Rico for 2 weeks on vacation, and that'll get me to the 23rd of next month. And so I know we're recording this, so I won't use months, but
Hmm.
that basically is eating up the better part of 2 months,
Yeah.
and that's the primary work I'm going to do in these 2 months. Is I'm going to give some talks. I'm going to do some work on the book launch, and I'm going to go hang around the beach for 2 weeks in Puerto Rico. And it's rainy and cold on the Oregon coast because I live on the ocean in Oregon, and so I'm going to go to a warm coast and go sit in the sun, and then I'll come back here later. And if you build a good team, um, that's what you can create. You can make lots of money. You can build, a very successful multi-million dollar businesses, and then
Hmm.
you can live a life that is highly desirable. And whatever that life is to you is okay. There's not a way to do it. It's how do you design something so that it benefits you. And the more successful the venture is, the more good you can do in the world. You can first do great for your clients, then do great for your employees, then out of your abundance, do great for the community in whatever way you want to serve or invest or donate to the community. But when you're the only person, you can be self indulgent. You can enjoy, for a while traveling. But even the people I know that live that nomadic life, at some point they get tired of it. And they're like, I'd like to have a permanent closet somewhere that's not at my parents' house. That and and as you do that, you want to be able to transition from this kind of fun time of being nomadic and being, you and your laptop and your passport against the world, and migrate into something as you decide you want to have maybe a family, or you want to buy a home and live in that home. You need a way to transition from just you to a team. And that's what these writings and trainings and what our company does to try to help people do to really establish themselves for success.
Yes, that is so important. Because let's say in our case, well, as you mentioned previously, you could either do it alone, or of course you can build a successful company by having a team. There is this African proverb: if you want to go fast, go alone, and then if you want to go far, go together.
Go together.
So
Yeah, that's
that's
right.
yeah, so that's the idea. Because what I've noticed when we, let's say, started with local businesses, we would help them on the marketing and sales side in a way. We would help them put together systems to automate their marketing side of things. Because most of the times it's a mess. We come in, they
That's
have a
right.
couple of things here, a couple of things there, and they don't have their marketing systems together. And then what you're describing is kind of that next level in putting together people and then having processes and then all the SOPs for people so
Yeah.
they
Well,
can work.
yeah, that's precisely right. And the uh, one of the things that I guess is my quote, um, because I said it one time on somebody's podcast, and she said, "I've never heard anybody say that before." And I thought, neither have I. So maybe it's an original Aaron Young. But what I've noticed is that certainly as business owners or as nomads or as anybody, um, I've come to understand that most people suffer from a lack of specificity, getting very specific about what it is you're doing, the outcome is you want, what pieces need to be in place, and because people will sell you all kinds of pieces, right? They'll say, oh, we
Oh
can
yeah.
do this, we can do that. And all of a sudden you look and you have this basket full of random stuff. You've got a book that you self-published. You've got a podcast with 13 episodes. You've got a Facebook sales funnel that doesn't really work anymore, or you got a WordPress website that the links are no longer connected because they didn't update, and nobody's really managing it. And it's all, you've invested in it, and it's all sitting there, but it's not really being productive. And because we are buying out of a dream or a hope, we're saying, yes, you please give me the solution that I haven't been able to find. I don't know what to do. You help me do it, right? Please give me the magic coaching thing. So because of that, people waste a lot of money and a lot of time and get very frustrated and get bad feelings about certain vendors, really because they didn't do the work to figure out, what exactly am I working toward? What am I aspiring to? What am I dreaming of that I want to accomplish specifically for me? Why am I sacrificing my time and my money and the opportunity cost of everything else I could be doing to do this thing? And how do I know when I get to the finish line? How do I know when I'm successful? If we don't define the finish line, if we don't define the outcome in the beginning and work toward it, what we end up doing is just wasting time. We might make some money. Some things might work by luck or by fluke, but when we have a pretty good idea, Stephen Covey said, begin with the end in mind. The scriptures tell us the same thing. If you read the Bible,
Yes.
it's not a new concept. The idea is,
I'm going through Proverbs right now. So
okay, if you build a house, first it starts in here. What do I want? Then it goes on to paper. Then it goes into complex, mechanical drawings, and then they go buy the lumber, right? Then they go get the shingles. Then they go get the nails. You don't start off by going to Home Depot and buying a bunch of stuff and start pounding stuff together. But that's what most entrepreneurs do. They do it that way. They don't plan it and then build it. They start building it and they go, oh, well, that's wrong, or that's wrong. And we better throw that part away. And that's why they get frustrated. That's why they usually are not successful. Most business concepts, the owner gives up. Your first business that you start, you have an 80% chance of it being closed within 3 years, right? You'll have given up on it. Some people say the business will fail. I don't know if the business failed. It's just that they couldn't eat, right? So they had no money. So they had to say, I have to stop and I got to go back to waiting tables or getting a job working for somebody else. Okay, I'm going to try again. And then they've learned some things by then. And usually after a while, they have a higher likelihood of success. But that first company fails because people don't plan. The other one that I see all the time, Alex, is the people that go out and knock it out of the park first try. They build something, they came up with some technology or with a new service or a new product, and everybody loved it. And then they sold the company and they made $12 million or $50 million or whatever individually. Maybe the company sold for more, but they kept that much, right? And then they keep trying stuff and they keep trying to invest and they want to be on people's boards and stuff. And they never have that same level of success again. Because a lot of times they end up losing all the money. And you know why? Because they didn't know what happened. They don't know why the first deal was successful. It was just kind of right place, right time. But they didn't plan it. They didn't have a system. It's just like all the stars aligned and it worked, but it's not duplicatable.
So they got lucky in a way.
They kind of got lucky. They worked hard, but they don't know what happened to create the success. And so they can't duplicate it. The idea behind, I've had good luck building a bunch of small multi-million-dollar companies and making a good deal of money doing it. And the reason we keep doing it and we keep succeeding at it is because, is because we know what we're doing. We follow the same formula, and the formula works, right? If you have a formula for chocolate chip cookies and you follow it, you will get chocolate chip cookies.
Yeah.
You're not going to get a Volkswagen or a Tuba or something. You're going to get chocolate chip cookies. You're not going to get sourdough bread. You're going to get cookies. And, maybe your second batch will be a little better than the first batch, but you're going to get the desired result. And then once you learn how to do it, you can iterate on it to where you really get good at what you're doing. And you can do it over and over again. It doesn't matter the industry, because you know the right process, the right formula.
Okay. Would you put a blueprint in the same basket as the formula? Because a lot of people,
Sure. Yeah.
Because a lot of
A
people are
blueprint,
trying to.
a formula, a recipe, however you want to say, follow these steps and you'll get a result.
Yeah, that is so important, because these days there are so many blueprint. That's why I asked you about the blueprint, because people like to use, especially marketers, this blueprint will help you do this and this and this, and people fall for it, and then you download that, and then you buy the program, you go through it, and it just doesn't really work, because you do need to have all the essentials first.
You need to understand, if all we take away from this conversation, if all your listeners take away is this: get clear on what you personally want out of whatever activity you're involved in. Whatever it is, imagine whatever success looks like. And we know there's a gap between where you are and where you want to go. But the idea is, say, I'm here, I want to get here. And in order to get there, I'm here. What does it got to look like here? What will it need to be here? What will that world look like? How many employees will I have? How much money will be in the bank? How, what is that going to have to look like? And design it on paper, and then start working toward the goal with the first right decision, and then the next right one, and the next right one. And the whole time you're looking at the big picture of what you're trying to accomplish and going, I think the next right move is that. Okay, and then you look at for this employee or this project, what am I going to have to invest in software, in marketing, in compensation, in whatever, in order for that next thing to work. If you try to do it all at once, it's overwhelming. So you want to pick a path and find the shortest route to the destination that you desire.
And I guess that's why a lot of people have anxiety these days. Some people get depressed in a way, because there is too many options and they're trying to do everything at the same time. I wanted to ask you, so in the book, you mentioned this Turkish proverb: no matter how far you've gone down a wrong road, turn back.
Oh yeah, that's Brian Tracy taught me that quote.
Huh. Interesting.
You mentioned Brian, and yeah, the first time I ever heard that was Brian. No matter how far you go down the wrong road, turn back. And people are always going, yeah, but I'm making such good time on the I'm going so fast, there's no traffic, look at, I'm doing great. But the truth is, people have a very difficult time abandoning the thing that they've told people they're doing, right? Or they've invested a lot of their energy in designing something, and they want to force it down the throat of the world. And the world's going, not me, I'd like to pass. And people can't understand, why is nobody buying my course? Why is nobody buying my book? Why is nobody hiring our services? Why is nobody coaching with me? Why is nobody, whatever? Why don't they like my tiny house concept, whatever the thing is they're doing. And one of the things I talk about in the book is make sure that whatever you're delivering to the world is something that they actually want to buy. You can do your passion out of your abundance, out of your wealth. Some of the most successful companies in the world do very simple things. I mean, look at Amazon. Amazon is basically just a platform to sell stuff. And we can all be Amazon sellers. We can all go get our little spot. We have to write our marketing copy. We have to manage our own inventory, or we can pay them to manage it for us, right? But anybody can do it. All they did was they created a platform. Then they made money and they said, oh, let's do something with grocery stores. So they bought grocery stores and said, maybe we can apply that to, delivery service or whatever. But out of their abundance, They started making movies. They opened up Amazon Prime Video, which is really just a platform for other content creators to put their stuff. So what do? They're not they're not doing all the sexy stuff, right? They're making sure that everything looks pretty and that the storefront works and that the computers have enough computing program, and then they get paid a little fraction on everything. The world wants that, right? If Jeff Bezos was still just trying to force the world to do this kind of volume that he's doing now at Amazon with his old used textbook business, right? The world would say, we've got enough used textbook, pal. I'm not in college. I don't need a used textbook, right? But so many entrepreneurs or wannabe entrepreneurs are trying to force feed bad ideas, undesired ideas to the world. And that's the greatest likelihood of failure. Beyond that is if you don't have money and you don't have a plan, that's why you fail. You have a bad idea, you don't have enough money, or you don't have a plan. And those are the things that cripple companies in the normal world. I mean, pandemics or something, you're getting run over by a bus, those would slow you down too. But as you know, assuming you can stay healthy, you need a plan, you need enough money, and you need something the world wants to buy. And if you can do that, you'll be successful.
So prior to that, people would need to do their research pretty much, find out what the market wants or what the market needs. What are the pain points?
There's so much data available now that it's like you said a minute ago, too many choices. Well, there's so much data that unless you become an expert in reading the data, it just like that's too much. I just want to make money. I just want to sell my hand carved wooden spoons, on Etsy. That's all I want to do. I don't want to know all this stuff. You find out, well, hey, there's a whole bunch of people in a village that'll carve the spoons for you, and they can still be hand carved wooden spoons, and you don't have to do it one at a time. Yeah. And you can sell more of them, and you can, who wants them? Well, there's a greater demand for those in France than there is in North Carolina. So we're going to aim our marketing over there, right? If you get the data, you have a much greater likelihood of that's specificity, getting clear on the data. Most people are too lazy to do that. They just think they have a clever idea. It's like to keep people to go on American Idol because their parents and their friends all told them they could sing. And then the judges go, I don't think you're quite ready for primetime, folks. Right. But your friends tell you, oh, that's such a good idea. You make the best cupcakes. You should open a cupcake business. Well, you're good at cupcakes, but you're not good at marketing. You're not good at paying your bills. You're not good at balancing your checkbook. You're not good at cleaning up after yourself, right? You're just good at making cupcakes. That is no good reason to be in business.
I wanted to ask you, when it comes down to marketing your business or promoting, after working with so many entrepreneurs and businesses, what have you noticed is the best marketing tool that could be used? And when I'm saying the best marketing tool, I'm referring to, let's say, is it direct marketing? Is it paid advertisement on social media? Is it JV partnership?
Okay, excellent question. It depends on how big you want to go, right? So if you have a fairly a relatively low dollar, widely people would be a wide variety of people would be interested in it, then doing direct marketing, Facebook ads, Google ads, that kind of stuff is good. That's why Coca-Cola and McDonald's and stuff are all over the television and all over everywhere, right? Everybody knows who Coca-Cola is. So Coca-Cola can say, hey, Coke Zero, hey, Sprite. And everybody goes, I know what those are, and I'm thirsty, I'm going to go buy one. So the broader the interest, the broader or the bigger the microphone I think you want. If you have to do something that takes a lot of one-on-one interaction with people, that's high, it's a high time commitment, high margin, high value to an individual, then I think the best way to do that is through speaking, through books, through personal authority like you're doing with this podcast, through joint ventures, so that somebody that the client already trusts says, now I want to introduce you to this person. I'm going to introduce you to Alex because he's got the next right thing for you, We trust Alex. We use Alex, right?
Uh-huh.
So then you get a very warm lead, and you have a greater likelihood of enrolling them in whatever boutique service you're offering. So I don't know that there's a right one. I think you need a multi-pronged approach. That said, I don't think you need to be on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Clubhouse, LinkedIn. I don't think you need all of it. I think what you want to do is get good at one or two of them and be consistent, right? If you're going to do direct mail, be consistent. If you're going to give talks, be giving a lot of talks, and then be on social media saying, hey, I'm here to give a talk. Hey, I'm there to give a talk. Hey, I just gave a talk. And here's a little nugget that I shared, right? And be showing I'm a speaker. I'm speaking all over the place. People are hiring me to speak. You
Uh-huh.
probably want to hire me to speak too, right? You show evidence, um, but it needs to be multi-pronged, but not shotgun.
Uh-huh.
If you're going to be on TikTok, what's your TikTok program? What are you going to teach in those little snippets? If you're going to be on Instagram, how are you engaging people that are, most small entrepreneurs might have a LinkedIn account, but they're not really using LinkedIn. They're not writing articles on LinkedIn. They're not doing job searches on, hiring on
Yeah.
LinkedIn. We use LinkedIn at a pretty high level. And frankly, I know people love that platform. I think it's kind of a dry platform compared to an Instagram or Facebook or TikTok. But who's there? Odds are the very successful entrepreneur is more likely to be looking at LinkedIn in an article than looking at TikTok,
Oh
right?
yes,
Odds are
100%.
if you're doing bigger deals, you're probably not watching everybody's Instagram feed incessantly, right? But you are looking for people with certain skills. You're looking for people who are writing. You're looking for people who are being endorsed by other companies. So find the right niche for your offering, and then
Uh-huh.
become an expert in that area. But in my companies, I've done in the past. I did a lot of television. I did a lot of radio. Um, we used to own the largest commercial print shop in northern Nevada. So all the Reno, Tahoe, Carson City, all that. We were the largest print shop up there, and it was only to print for us. We didn't print for anybody else. We did millions and millions of pieces of direct mail every year, and this was our print shop for our
Wow.
millions of pieces that were going out in direct mail. We were big enough printer and mailer that we got to negotiate with the postal service every year what our rates were going to be. The US Post Office would come to a meeting at my office, and we would negotiate postal rates.
Hmm.
Think about that. That's a big deal.
It is.
And anyway, so I don't think there's a right one. I think there are a whole bunch available. Pick your lane and be good at your lane and be consistent in your lane.
So a little earlier you mentioned niches. So when somebody is either starts or they are in the business already, would you advise to focus on one specific niche, as people say riches are in the niches? Because
Yeah.
other people are saying no, go all in on, you have to be everywhere, you have to be omnipresent, and then on the other end, other experts are saying no, you have to niche down, you have to be a specialist in something in one thing.
So there's a difference between an expert and a beginner. And you said when you're beginning, like I'm all over the place. I own lots of different kinds of companies. However, they're all asset protection and tax planning related, right?
Hmm.
They're all aimed at successful small to medium sized businesses. That's what I do. So what I think somebody does is the successful people that I know pick a thing that they're going to do, and they make it really successful. So if you're going to sell electronics, um, maybe you say, well, first I'm going to start with printers, right? I'm going to sell printers. Okay, I'm very good at selling printers now. I'm going to add, I don't know, cellular phones. I'm going to add that. Okay, I'm good at that now. I'm going to add, uh, I don't know, fill in the blank, right? Car stereos, right?
Hmm.
But they don't start with the whole giant Best Buy, right? They start with, I'm going to sell this thing. Oh, okay, we've got a good audience, we got good cash flow, we got surplus cash. What should we do with it? Let's add another SKU, get a little bit bigger, or let's buy another company.
Hmm.
This is working. This is working. I have a management team that's doing it. I don't need to put a lot of time into that. I'll do the next one. But if you try to do too much, you do all of it badly.
So at the end of the day, nothing really works
Yeah.
long term.
If you want to go faster on that, then hire good A or B players, whatever you can afford, the
Hmm.
best person you can afford to run that thing so that they can take some ownership. They can start figuring things out. And now they're just asking you for direction. You're not the one doing all the work. Get it rolling. Then say, okay, now I feel secure in this one. I'm going to do the next one. That's what I recommend.
All right, that's good to know. You just mentioned also, let's say, give ownership to the A player or B player. What percentage would you give to your A players?
Okay, hold on.
Is
I
there?
I don't mean stock. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay,
I
okay,
don't mean equity ownership. I mean authority.
okay.
Give them authority to act without having to come back and ask you for everything. Empower them to go forward and do the job you hired them to do. That's what I mean.
So there's no micromanaging.
Right. I'm utterly against giving equity if you don't have to. A lot of people say, hey, let's what they forget is that, so let's say, Alex, I wanted to hire you, but maybe money's tight. I can't really pay you what you want. So I say, I'm going to give you 20% of the company. I want you to come in and do all of our marketing. Okay. All right. So you say, okay. And you come in and you work for a while. And then somebody offers you a great job, or you get a great opportunity to do something else. And you say, hey, Aaron, I'm going to go do that thing over there now. Well, you still own 20% of my company. It's not contingent on you staying working. If I give you shares, you own the shares, regardless of if you do any work. You can still come back to me and say, I don't like how you're running our company, because you're an owner now. I don't believe in giving people shares or putting them on a board of directors unless I absolutely must do it. Because every time I do that, I weaken my own position. And because they're shareholders does not mean they're going to be anywhere near as committed as I might be on the project. And they may ditch the first sign of any sort of challenge, and they still own shares. And so you go and you work 7 days a week and 14 hours a day, and you build the company. They still own 20%. They got to go on the ride with you for what? Now, I believe in empowering people. I believe in giving them financial incentives. I believe in paying them well and giving them bonuses and giving them, difficult tasks with unusually high bonuses. I love doing all those things. But, the main thing people want, if they're an employee, even if they're a really A player, they want to know what's going on in the company. They want to have a voice. They want to be able to say, I recommend this. They want to see that other people's ideas, even if it's not their ideas, other of their peers' ideas are being followed up on and enacted. So the company's listening to them, right? They want to be acknowledged and rewarded. They want to be seen and appreciated, both publicly and privately. And the fifth thing they want is a fair market wage. That's number 5 on the list. First one is, I'd like to know what's going on in my company. What's happening here? Am I safe? Can I make suggestions? Does the company follow up on employee suggestions? Can I get acknowledged for my successes? And will you pay me a fair wage? So if you pay somebody a fair wage and then you give them authority to act, and they get to have emotional ownership in their assignment, that is something that almost nobody gets out there. If you give that to them, you go from, as Keith Cunningham says, you go from buying their arms and legs to winning their heads and hearts. That's That's what I mean
which,
by ownership.
which is the most difficult part.
I think so. But
Yeah.
yet I've got employees that have been with me for over 30 years,
Wow.
right? And they're highly compensated and highly empowered.
I've been listening to your podcasts. I've watched a couple of your videos. I've got a lot of value out of your content. I've got a lot of value out of our conversation today. And I wanted to ask, where can people find you?
Well, they can go to laughlinusa.com. That's like laugh, LAUGHLINUSA.com, laughlinusa.com. They can go to aaronscottyoung.com. Or they can go to anywhere they listen to podcasts and listen to the Unshackled Owner podcast. And if any of that serves people and we're able to help in some way or give them one of those gold nuggets, I'll be very happy.
Awesome. Well, I'm sure they got a lot of value out of this episode. I wanted to thank you once again. I appreciate your time. It's the most valuable asset that we have. And with everything that you have going on in your life, it means a lot to me.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure to be with you, and I look forward to our next visit.
Awesome. We'll definitely have you back.
Okay, great.